this episode of Let's Talk Premises. My name is Richard.
And my name is Romy. How are you doing today, Richard?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I do have a bit of a niche topic for everyone today, and
Okay.
that is sprinklers.
Okay.
Let me just start with asking you a quick question, Richard. If I told you that a school burned down and was then rebuilt but without sprinklers, would you even believe me?
You'd think not, wouldn't you, Romy? But that's actually a neat summary of where we are with school fire safety in England right now, because earlier this year, the DfE, they quietly retired the guidance that said new schools should have sprinklers as default and basically replaced it with something that says, for most schools, nothing on the matter at all.
And quietly is definitely the operative word here, isn't it? It
Hmm.
happened very quietly. There wasn't a press release, no statement. It was just a single line buried in section 9.1 of a technical procurement document, which
Right.
basically said the use of BB 100, the 2007 version, is no longer required. And that's it. So
Yeah.
19 years of accepted design standard gone.
Right. Yeah.
So let's just rewind this a little bit. For anyone that doesn't know BB 100, what is it that we are actually going to be losing here?
So, Building Bulletin 100, it was published in 2007. The school minister at the time, when I was reading it, basically sort of called it like a landmark in improving fire safety in schools because the core principle was really simple. The default expectation was that all new schools would have sprinklers, yeah?
Yeah.
So, and if you wanted an exception, you had to make a case for it. So there was like some specific tools you had to use to justify leaving them out or whatever.
Mm.
But it was like the burden of proof was on not having them, you know?
And now it's just completely flipped, hasn't it? There's
Looks like
no
it.
default at all, it seems. It's saying that sprinklers are only specified now for buildings that are 4 stories or higher, buildings with a residential accommodation, and special schools. So, for the vast majority of primary schools and single or 2 story secondary schools, which I'd say is probably most schools in England,
Yeah.
there's no recommendation either way. The guidance is silent now.
That's right. It's bizarre, isn't it? So which
Yeah.
means that if you're designing a new school right now, there doesn't look like there's anything pushing you to include them. Like nothing from the DfE. And in any school build, I'm sure the cost is the dominant pressure. So when the guidance goes silent on something, it tends not to happen.
So, what does the fire risk actually look like for schools then?
Yeah, that's important actually. So it's not theoretical either. There's studies on this. So 2024 to 2025, when I was reading it, it basically said that there were 417 fires in education premises in England. Okay, so that was 8 fires a week on average, like every week, and arson accounts for around 60% of them. So what that means, Romy, is that 80 deliberate attacks on English schools happened in 2024 alone, right?
Yeah.
And then when you like model that out over like maybe the lifetime of the building, a secondary school therefore has a 70% probability of experiencing a fire over, say, a 30-year period.
Well, 70%, that's actually really high, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd say that's probably a near certainty that over the next 30 years, it is quite probable and highly likely.
Yeah. So like that's almost like a when, isn't it? Like not an
Mm.
if. And we actually know what happens when there are no sprinklers because there's studies on that as well, Romy. So one of them was saying that 97% of school fires in the last 14 years actually happened in buildings without them. So
Mm.
where sprinklers were installed, okay, they extinguished the fire in 71% of cases. And then where they were installed, it also then controlled it in another 27% of cases. So
Right.
together, that's 98% effectiveness, okay, for the rate. Meanwhile, of course, the average cost of a fire incident, when you look it up, is around £282,000. They had an example of Ash Green Primary, which was something like 4.5 million to rebuild, and then 3 years of disruption to like 500 pupils or something like that.
Yeah, and those are the numbers before you even get to the disruption to the children's education.
That's right.
I think it's something like 90,000 pupils a year have their learning disrupted by fire.
Yeah,
And that's not just a footnote, that's a significant recurring consequence.
yeah,
And it is happening in school buildings without sprinklers year after year.
that's right.
So, did anyone push back when this changed at all?
So the National Fire Chiefs Council and
Mhm.
the Construction Industry Council, they both went public with serious concerns. I was reading it, it said like the NFCC, they still actually recommend sprinklers in all new and refurbished schools, by the way. The
Right.
CIC, they describe themselves as like deeply worried, basically saying like communities would face significant challenges and costs following fires in schools built without them, of course.
Yeah.
But like, here's the thing: like, neither of them were consulted before the guidance changed. They just sort of found out the same way everyone else did when they read the document.
Yeah, the DFE didn't even ask the fire chiefs, did they?
No.
And it looks like there was a formal consultation in 2021,
Yeah.
which the DFE ran. They received responses, and then for 5 years just said nothing. No
That's it.
published reply. Then in January 2026, a completely different document appeared, and BB 100 was superseded.
Yeah.
So that's hundreds of consultation responses just never formally answered.
Yeah.
So let's just look at how England compares to the rest of the UK on this. Can you just outline that for us?
Yeah. So Scotland, sprinklers mandatory
Yeah.
in all new school buildings. Wales mandatory and a condition of government grant funding as well. And England just removed the recommendation for most schools.
Right, so Scotland said yes,
Yeah.
Wales said yes,
Yeah.
England just said nothing.
Nothing, which in practice means no.
Yeah. So what should someone listening to this actually do with all of this information?
Yeah, it's important, isn't it, actually? So I would say if a school or trust is anywhere near a new school build or significant refurbishment, like just ask the question directly to the consultant, have that chat. Ask the design team whether sprinklers are in a specification, and if they're not, ask why. The DfE no longer requires them for most buildings, but there's nothing stopping the school or trust from requiring them.
Yeah.
So that conversation I think is worth having before the design is fixed, not after.
Okay, great. I think that is a perfect place to end it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone, for
Yes.
listening. Don't
Thanks.
forget to subscribe to our channel. It does really help us out. And we will see you next time.